I am an FBI agent. Yes, everyone has one. We do more than simply spy on people through their webcams. In fact, that's only necessary in certain circumstances. We are simply here to ensure safety, comfort, and legality among the ones we watch over. My client's name is Fox. At least, that's what he calls himself. I haven't observed him long enough to know what his birth name is. For all I know, it could be the same as his nickname. He always seemed like an outcast, mostly quiet and reserved, especially in social situations. It could be because he's a software engineer who's very focused on his work. I often see him programming new apps, scrapping them, writing down ideas in his notes, starting on a blank canvas to test new sequences. It's sometimes confusing to know what he's working on, but from the data I've uncovered, he seems to be doing something in the realm of data transfer. Perhaps remotely downloading a virus on a computer halfway across the world. One day, Fox placed a piece of tape over his webcam. I never looked into it much to begin with, because he didn't do much outside of his computer. But I wonder what caused him to change his mind about it being uncovered. His searches may have been a factor. Remote hacking, remote connection Python, security breach computer. His project followed along those lines, so I figured he was researching more. But the tape over the webcam only made my confusion grow. And then, a week later, something else happened. Fox took the tape off and looked directly into the camera. He sat there for a moment, and it felt like he was looking into my eyes. It was like he could see me. I even flashed a wave, although I knew it was impossible for him to know I was there. He simply said, "Hello." The tape stayed off after that. I knew he couldn't see me. He couldn't even know I was there. Sure, a good lot of people post about FBI agents spying on them, but surely nobody truly believes they were there, right? I tried to ignore the unsettling feeling in my gut, because surely he was just fooling around. Occasionally Fox would look into the camera again, and I had the same strange feeling that he knew I was there, sitting in my office, watching him. At some point, he wedged a screwdriver in the screen of his computer and popped it off. He has a desktop iMac, so with a bit of pressure, it's easy to access the inside. The camera was pointed toward the floor. I couldn't see much, but I could hear scratching, rustling, and snipping. Suddenly, there was a loud feedback noise, which caused me to clap my hands over my ears, and everything went silent. Fox fixed the screen, smiled into the webcam, and tapped it. He began working on another program for a few weeks. This time, I could not tell what he was doing. The only thing that stood out to me was a single search term: hydrogen bomb Wikipedia. After the program appeared to be finished, the screen flickered and died. I couldn't see anything, hear anything, or know anything about Fox, for the most part. There was a connection that he had forgotten about. In the basement of his house, there was a computer. It was from 2002, but would suffice. I made a secure connection and peered into the webcam. It seemed to be inside a box. There was nothing I could do about that, except the audio part still worked. Although it was distorted, I could vaguely make out Fox's actions. A buzz of a saw, clicking metal, a soldering iron, a flamethrower, a can being crushed. That was all for the next several minutes. Then a loud bang, like something hitting the ground. God damn it. Fox grumbled to himself. I heard him walk up the creaky stairs, and then there was silence. Although the screen had gone dark on his usual computer, I could still view his search history. That was the one component I still had access to. And another term struck me. Molotov cocktail. What was he trying to do? Fox had been looking up tutorials on explosives for the past few days, and blocking most connections to his webcams and mics. I had no way of telling what was going on, besides the occasional clink of metal or glass inside his basement and the strange, confusing search terms. There was no activity for the next week. One night, as I was in my bed, about to fall asleep, a green light flickered at me. It was only for a split second, but enough to wake me up. I sat up in my bed and looked around, trying to find the source. It was my webcam. My webcam had flickered on and off. If it weren't for the events that happened in the past few weeks, I would have passed it off as a glitch. It had happened to me multiple times before, and I tried to brush it off once more, convincing myself it was a simple bug. Except, it happened twice more that night, and once in the morning. A flicker of green light. I wonder if it had happened at all while I was asleep. At this point, I was paranoid. I thought about the worst possibility. I imagined Fox connecting to my computer, plotting to find me and shoot explosives through the broken windows. Although, how could he? It was impossible for him to know I was there. It was impossible. Unless the thing he had been researching was the very thing he was trying to destroy. I liked Fox until he became scary. I begrudgingly pressed the button to call the police. Nothing happened. I pressed it again. Nothing. I rapidly clicked my mouse, but it wasn't responding. I tried typing the number on my phone, and it wouldn't let me press call. A window appeared on my computer screen. Don't try anything else. I ran straight for my door. Mistake number 1. On my way to my car, I felt a glass bottle hit my back and send a stabbing pain into my skin. I stumbled to the ground and tried to regain balance when another bottle hit me. I thought I was going to die when the explosion hit. I yelled out in pain. It was nighttime, so nobody heard me when I screamed. I was grabbed by my foot and dragged across the concrete, still in excruciating pain. I fumbled for my gun in my pocket, fired a shot, and missed. With a swift motion, the man pulling me grabbed the weapon and pointed it at my head. I said, "Don't try anything else." He released hold of my leg, but I stayed still. I knew the slightest movement would result in my downfall. He pulled a knife out of his pocket and twirled it around on his hand. He stared at me, in the same way he tried to look into the webcam. It was Fox. "You think you can spy on me without my permission? Who do you think you are? I think we should make things even." I thought the excruciating pain in my back and all over my body would count as even, but apparently not. I winced as he continued to spin the knife, the blade glistening in the moonlight. "What if I sliced open your arm and superglued a tiny camera inside? That would show you how it feels." He lightly tapped the blade on my shoulder. I shook my head repeatedly, closing my eyes. He pressed harder with the knife, and I felt the sharp pain emit from my arm. I sighed, trying to ignore it and stop shaking. I tried to tell myself that I would die here, and there was nothing I could do about it. I could also just kill you right here, but that wouldn't teach you a lesson. Plus, it would be boring. I grabbed the barrel of the gun with my palm. He pulled the trigger. Blood splattered my face, and I screamed. Flipping the gun around, I shot Fox in the leg. I should have killed him, but I didn't. I don't know what stopped me. Groaning in pain, he latched onto my leg with his teeth. My entire body ached at this point. I grabbed his face with my bleeding, burning hand and squeezed tightly. I'm grateful I grow my nails out. You never know when a situation like this might come. Fox groaned and clawed at the ground until he took hold of a rock and threw it directly at my skull. I woke up on the sidewalk, hand numb, eyes blurry, body sore. I wasn't sure if I was dead or alive at this point. Fox was gone, but there was blood and ash everywhere. I live in a sort of deserted place, so it wasn't too surprising that nobody had found me. I sat up, although it was difficult. I washed off my hand, and it felt like 1,000 needles. It continued to bleed as I wrapped it in medical tape. I drove myself to the hospital, although I didn't quite want to. I needed a skin graft for the burns on my back. Fox had thrown a Molotov cocktail at me. The bullet wound in my hand hadn't gone all the way through, so I kept it wrapped for a few weeks before it started to heal. I haven't detected any data from Fox since about a month ago, but I sometimes see my webcam turn green and turn off, almost too quick to detect. He's still out there. I have a feeling he's going to come back for me, but I'm not sure how to avoid him. Shout out to my superfans, Sweet Black Swan, Tacey, and Brooklyn. I really appreciate you guys supporting my channel, and I really look forward to making more content for everyone.